Hello and welcome to Cut the Cake, the no BS wedding podcast sharing industry secrets and wedding day intel couples are craving to plan and enjoy their wedding planning process with actual info you need and plenty of laughs along the way. I'm Melanie James, aka Melly Rain, and I'm joined by
Tanya Hall, aka The Event Wanderer Co. And together we are your hosts, bringing over 20 plus years of wedding and event industry insights to your ears.
Taylah is not your average wedding photographer, and in all the best possible ways. With her warm and earthy visual style, her ability to connect with couples on a personal level, and her passion for capturing the most memorable moments, she brings a unique perspective to the world of wedding photography.
In our chat, we discuss how Taylah found herself becoming a wedding photographer, her wedding photography style, and her honest truths about first looks and how your wedding day timeline should be put together. We also discuss her new and exciting approach in her wedding photography offerings, as well as her plans to head to the US in 2024.
Taylah has become a sought-after photographer in the industry, and we are honoured to have her as our first official guest on Cut the Cake.
So on today's episode, we are chatting to the ever so fabulous Taylah from Taylah Jayne Weddings. Recently moved to the Gold Coast from Melbourne after going through a bit of a breakup and a fresh start, I believe. You are now settling into life on the Gold Coast. So do you want to tell us how you got into wedding photography and also how you ended up on the Gold Coast?
Yes, well, they sort of go hand in hand, to be honest. I was originally from Melbourne, and that is where I started my photography journey. I was with my previous partner. We travelled a fair bit. While we were travelling, I was always taking photos and videos, and that's when reels sort of became big on Instagram. So I was making us little reels, and we actually planned a trip to travel around Australia together, and we didn't want money to be a reason why we had to come home early. So we both agreed that we were going to work while we travelled. And long story short, I was like, well, I'll just give photography a go, because think of all the families I'm going to meet, or, any hospitality couples that want to get married, literally anything. I was like, I'm going to meet so many people, and there's just going to be so many opportunities to take photos for them. So that's where it started. And to be honest, the wedding side of things, I was terrified to get into weddings, to the point where I was a little bit I don't know if I can do it. Too much pressure. So it took for me I did a bridal photo shoot, a styled shoot. And from that, I had someone message me and say, hey, I really want you to do my wedding. And I was like, are you sure? So that's pretty much where I started doing weddings, to now, fast forward, it's now my main thing. But fun fact, my first wedding was a week after me and my partner broke up. So that's motivating, isn't it?
How did that go down?
I feel like it was one of those moments where it was okay, if this is my first wedding, this is going to be very telling as to whether this is for me or it's not, because doing this wedding is either going to destroy me or it's going to be the best distraction ever. And thank goodness. And obviously that was the case, because here I am. It's the best thing I ever did. And it was especially coming out of a breakup, that I put all my energy into weddings and my business. And I probably don't think it would be as successful as it is today without going through that.
All right. Well, I want to dig a little bit deeper. Obviously, you're
a
fantastic photographer. I always do. Want to know the juicy details about everything. But can you explain just a little bit more exactly the type of photography that you do? I know you've said weddings and families. Is that what you would say is your area of specialty? Weddings or family or both? Do you prefer one over the other? Tell us.
It's definitely mainly weddings now. So I would say I've transitioned into mainly weddings 6 months ago. in saying that, I do still offer family shoots and maternity shoots and that sort of thing. I'm open to anything. But weddings is the main thing. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what I love to do. When I think of like my career long term, like I want to grow my business to the point where it's like I am a destination wedding photographer. Like I got into this industry and started my own business so I could travel for work. So that's the goal. And I feel like people want you to travel as a wedding photographer. It's very like rare to find a family photographer that gets sent to Spain to capture a family, you know? So weddings is my thing.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's not the juicy details I wanted, so we're going to dig even deeper. Because I want to know, and I'm sure our listeners want to know a little bit more about you, because more on the personal level, more like what you love, what you hate, what gets you going in the morning. Because as a photographer, particularly a wedding photographer, you are working so closely with the couple and you are with them for like, you know, up to 8, 10, 12 hours of their day, and you are in their face most of the day. So I want our listeners to know a little bit more about you. So tell me one thing that you absolutely love, one thing you absolutely hate, and what just what you absolutely just adore in life, and what gives you the warm and fuzzies every day.
All right, one thing I absolutely love, and this has become a non-negotiable for me, especially so the whole reason I moved up to the Gold Coast is because I'm a water baby. Let's be honest. I want to be by the beach. I need warm weather. None of this cold, raining Melbourne weather nonsense. It's just depressing and I'm not here for it. So, because I am so obsessed with the beach and being by the water, like a non-negotiable for me now is an ocean swim every single day. It is literally the best part of my day. I do not care if it's raining, if like there's a massive rip in the water. It's like, oh, well, this will be interesting. I have to get into the water. Have to.
God, I hope the lifeguards are on.
Yeah, I always swim near them.
Swimming between the flags at one point.
Always between the flags, always.
Yes.
Well, they look bored, so I've got to give them something to do.
Yeah, fair. All right, what do you absolutely hate? What just ticks you off?
Hate. Hate's a strong word. I wouldn't say there's much
what
that
do you
I
strongly
hate.
dislike? What grinds your gears?
Okay, no, I've got one.
Okay.
Red onion.
That was
For
not what I was
anyone,
expecting.
I know.
Please explain.
For anyone that knows me well enough, will know, like, probably would have guessed that answer, because I say hate's a strong word. Hate's actually not strong enough for red onion for me. I need a stronger word. I hate it.
A few minutes ago, you were like, no, I can't use the word hate. It's too strong. Hate onion. Hate it. Red onion.
That is my one exception for the word hate. Like, if I go order myself a salad sandwich and it's had red onion in it and I ask them to remove the red onion, I can still taste it. Like, that's how much I despise it.
So this just leads to a slightly more pressing question. How do you feel about brown onions then, or white onions? Or is it just, are we you know, do we love those? Like, where do we sit on the onion spectrum?
I don't, love's a strong word. But red onion
being a strong word.
But I don't know what it is. Red onion has a different taste. It's definitely, you know, it's my most hated onion of them all. But the others I can have if they're cooked and they're blended and they're disguised, basically. Okay. Let's just go with that. I'll accept that. So if anyone wants to cook me dinner one night and they hide white onion, I'll forgive you. If there's red onion, we're no longer friends.
Okay, so just to summarise, Taylah in a nutshell, fantastic wedding photographer, beach gal, loves the water, has to do a dip every day, but if a red onion comes anywhere near her, she's running the other way. So
you're dead to me.
That's your Insta bio.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
If there is red onion in my vendor
all right.
meal, I'm leaving your wedding.
It's in the contract. It's in the contract. Everyone.
Yeah.
Clause number 1.
100%. All right, let's bring it back to photography and all things weddings,
Yeah.
because that's
Good
exactly
idea.
what our listeners want to hear more about. Less about the red onion, more about wedding photography and
Fair.
specifically your services and how you work and the glorious magic that you do create on wedding days. So if you were to describe your style of photography when you capture weddings, how would you describe that to, I suppose, like a couple who reaches out to you and say, I'm interested in hiring you as a photographer? And as a planner, I know there are different styles of photography, and it's something I always talk about with couples. So how would you describe your tones, how you work on the day, stuff like that?
Yeah, I feel like in terms of my style, I sort of have a 2-part answer to that question, because there's like the visual style, but then there is also what it's like personality-wise to work with me on the day. So I guess visually, I have a very like warm, earthy kind of look to my photos. I feel like as a photographer, when you start editing and you start to learn your style, it sort of comes to you naturally. Like it's not something that you're just in your mind go, oh, I like light photos or I like cool tone photos. Like when you start editing, you'll be adjusting all the sliders and it will just naturally come out as to like what you think looks good or what feels good. Yeah. And I like that warm, earthy look because I feel like it brings like feeling into my photos. If my photos look warm and earthy, I feel like they're just like full of love and they're fun and you can feel like the emotion more in a photo. So visually, that is how I edit my photos. In terms of the experience with my style when it comes to working with couples, I take the approach of basically forcing my couples to become my best friend. Like it's just a non-negotiable. So if we are not best friends by your wedding day, I've done something wrong. There's somewhere along my process of being a wedding photographer, I've fucked up. So,
well, I can actually speak from firsthand experience on that. Because the first time we met Taylah was when you helped me with a branding photo shoot, and we had never met each other. And by the end of that 3-hour photo shoot that we did, we were just cackling and laughing, and like we've been talking ever since. And now we're doing this podcast together, so I can absolutely agree with that sentiment that you just have to be all over everyone, but in the best possible way, and we're just great friends.
For sure. And like as you said before, well, Mel, we've spoken about this, that like you spend so much of your day with that couple. So I find it funny when people pick their photographer or their planner and they just go based off photos, because I'm like, but you don't know what that person's like. Are you going to vibe with them or not? Because you're spending all day with them. So if you don't vibe, it's not going to be a fun day.
100%. 100%. No, I think the way you described yourself is exactly how you represent yourself on wedding days from working with you. So I completely agree with that.
We're besties, aren't we, Mel?
Cool. All right. So, all right, we might dive a little bit further then. You've obviously worked with many, many couples over your time as a wedding photographer. What is the biggest compliment you can receive as a photographer from your couples?
Biggest compliment. I'm going to surprise you and say it's not when they love their photos. Of course, like that's a compliment that I'm dying for. Like that's my job, is to give you your photos and for you to love them. Yes, that is a compliment that I want, but it is not my favorite one. My favorite compliment from my couple is that I made their day. And my whole point of saying that is because if my couple do not feel comfortable on the day of their wedding getting their photos taken, that is, no offense, photographers, but that is your fault. Because if they're not comfortable and if they're not like, and if all their friends, like if there's not heaps of photos of all their friends having a good time and dancing and like looking at the camera and laughing and like having a good time, you haven't got those photos because you haven't been that person to bring that out of the couple and their friends and their family. Like it is your job on that day to be that person, to make the day, like to create the memories. Like all those photos are memories of that day. And it is up to you to be that person, to bring that out in people. So that is why that is my favorite compliment, because when people say that to me, I know that it's not just coming from them. It has also come from their guests, their bridal party, their family. Like they've gone up to them and said, she was amazing, like loved her. Hopefully like someone else hires her so we get to see her again. That is the ultimate compliment to me.
And I think particularly with photography, it's such a huge investment too. Like it's probably the second most expensive thing behind, you know, your venue and your catering. If you want to put the hospitality side of it all together in one element of it, it's not a cheap exercise because of the skill, because of the labor, because of all the time that you spend editing potentially thousands. I mean, out of curiosity, how many photos would you take on average on a wedding day?
I'm scared to tell you.
Just to put you on the spot.
So many. So many.
Look, I'm embarrassed to say too many for one. That's my first answer. And my second answer, on average, is over 6,000 photos.
Yeah.
Over.
That's what I was pretty much anticipating you were going to say.
It's not good. It's not healthy.
Yeah, and then from there, there's the editing, and you have to cull, and then you have to get the beautiful album to the couple. So it's a big task that a photographer is doing.
For sure. But at the end of the day, like I know there is like this term called being an overshooter. So I will happily put my hand up and say I am an overshooter. But I would much rather be like that and have to sift through all the photos, because I know in those 6,000 photos, I've got their 500 perfect photos for their gallery. I don't have to question that, because I know all day I've just been like bang, 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 bang. Like I'm not missing anything.
Yeah. You're not. You're really not. Not with 6,000 photos.
No. And if I do, that's concerning.
No. True. It's very true. All right. I am curious to get your thoughts, Taylah, on a first look. And for those who are listening and don't know what a first look is, I'm kind of keen to get you to explain to our listeners what it is. I can absolutely do it, but I would really like you to explain it. And my second question to that is, are you finding as a photographer that more and more couples are wanting to do a first look, or where is that sort of sitting, I suppose, at the moment with weddings and your couples with what they're wanting to do?
Yeah. Okay, so description of a first look is when a couple will choose to see each other before the ceremony. So for whatever reason that is, sometimes it's like a religious thing. Maybe they both have something that they want to read to each other very privately that they don't want anyone else to hear that's in the ceremony, or they just want to reveal to each other without anyone else seeing. So that is usually the reasons of a first look and how that process sort of looks generally. Personal opinion, like if it was my day, I don't love the idea for a first look, purely because, and from a photo perspective, that moment when your husband, wife, whoever it is, standing at the other end of that aisle sees you, that the emotion, because I haven't seen you yet, is so much more than it is if you've already done a first look. And I feel like that's probably maybe a very old school way of looking at a wedding, but like, call me old school. I don't care. Like, I love, that is like my favorite part of the ceremony, is seeing that groom's reaction to his bride or other groom when they walk down the aisle is like, that's just the pure love and how they feel about that person right there. And I feel like you miss that opportunity from a first look. But in saying that, like I said before, there's sometimes religious reasons, or maybe the couple are a bit more private and they don't like the attention of everyone. Like maybe the groom's a bit nervous to cry in front of everyone seeing the bride for the first time, so they want that intimate moment. So for that reason, it's not about me, let's be honest. So if the couple say to me, I want to do a first look, I'll be your number one supporter. Don't you worry about that. But personally, I want my husband on the other end of that aisle to be bawling his eyes out. And if he's not, I've chosen the wrong person.
And are you finding that couples are opting for a first look at the moment, or are they going more the Taylah route of waiting for the ceremony moment?
Yeah, most don't. To be honest, I've only ever had one couple do a first look. But in saying that, I get a good mixture of weddings and elopements. So obviously with elopements, it's already quite intimate. So then the first look is not really an option because it's just them. But yeah, with my bigger weddings, it's not. Yeah, they also love the idea of that initial emotional reaction when they both see each other at the ceremony.
And I think there's something about that too, like, because you're not just obviously sharing it with each other. Like at that ceremony, you're also sharing it with the people that you've invited along as well to share in that day too. And, you know, there's a lot to be said for how families react to that too. And I think everyone kind of, you know, understands it's a little bit special. And look, I'd probably agree with you. My stance on it, like, you know, if that was me at the end of the aisle, I want my other half to be bawling his eyes out. Thank you very much. Like, please.
Shit, yeah. It's just so I feel like because weddings just evolve and they will continue to evolve, but I hope that they do hold some of their old school traditions and essence, because that's like true romance. Like, you think about dating in this day and age, like romance is gone. Everyone's swiping on an app now, so there's no romance going on. So I love that there's that aspect of weddings that take it back to like traditions that are just so romantic, because that's what love is. That's how love should be represented.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. So moving on then, what for you does an average day look like when you're shooting a wedding? Like, what time do you start in the morning? What's the first thing that you'd be potentially looking at, you know, shooting throughout the day, that type of thing? Do you want to just take us on an average day so our listeners can get an idea of what it looks like from your point of view? Because obviously things are very different from their point of view.
Yeah, every wedding, every elopement is obviously very different. But generally I will be there from start to finish. Most of my couples like to have the prep right up until the end of the night captured. In saying that, I feel like my timeline may sometimes look very different to other photographers. And I think that's because I actually get my couple involved in the timeline process. So a timeline for a wedding can be quite like strict and like this structure that is just meant to be stuck to. Like, prep is at this time, and then ceremonies at this time, and then family photos, cocktail hour, bridal photos, cut the cake, do the speeches. Like, everything is just in this like little package that it's like, all right, this is how we have to do it. So from that, I've also then learnt from couples that have had their wedding that there were certain complaints, like we missed out on cocktail hour, or I didn't like how long we were taking photos for. I sort of was happy with like the first few photos we got, but then we're still taking photos for like 45 minutes, and I missed out on all the fun with my family and friends. Like, they were all drinking the bar that we paid for. So there was all these things that I've like taken into account, that now my timeline as a wedding photographer, so that process throughout the day can look so different because I've let them create the timeline. So let's use cocktail hour, for example. If they don't want to miss out on that, one, because they paid for it, and two, because all their friends are now off drinking and partying and having a good time and they don't want to miss out, I just say to them, well, let's just go to cocktail hour and then we can go off and do your photos later when everyone's sitting down and eating and there's nothing really that you're missing out on. Like I feel like, especially as a photographer, because you're sort of a bit in control of that timeline, it's kind of on you to ask your couple what is important to them on the day. And if it's important for them to be spending that time with their friends and their family and everything, then why would you steal them away for an hour for your own portfolio when it means more to them to be at the party? So every day looks different. I'm, like I said, usually there from start to finish, but that will look different for me every single wedding I go to because every couple has different priorities on the day.
Yeah. I love that. And I completely agree with your statement that the photographer definitely has one of the biggest controls on a wedding day. Like when I'm helping couples put a timeline together, the photographer is such a huge part of that discussion leading up to a wedding day and what is included in your package inclusions, how you work, what's important to the couple, all those types of things. So I love that you're extremely adaptable and flexible when it comes to wedding days. And it's literally, I'm starting at this time and finishing at this time. What do you want to do in between kind of thing? So that's
literally
awesome. And I think it's such a great quality that you have.
It's so important though, because even couples are just so uneducated.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We are the keepers of this information and we need to pass it on to them. Hence why we are here. So you mentioned before that you are on the Gold Coast. You're obviously a beach gal. You love a beach wedding from what I understand from you. However, do you have what you would describe as your ideal client? Like would a beach wedding be like hands down the favorite type of wedding that you would like to work on and that would be your ideal client, or would it be something totally different and I've just assumed this?
No, you're not wrong. I'm a sucker for a beach wedding for sure. But in terms of my ideal client, well, engaged is a good start for my ideal client. But I feel like, and this can, because I've heard other photographers talk about their ideal client before. And when they answer that, I feel like it does come from a very visual perspective. So like you're saying, like you like the couples that want the beach wedding or maybe they want the forest wedding or whatever it is. But when I think about my ideal client, it's kind of the clients that are my people. So with like I put a lot of myself out there on my social media and on my website, and when I meet my couples, I'm always making sure I meet them in person or we're doing a Zoom call. And I do all of that because I'm like, if we don't click, then this, like, not only is it going to affect your day, but it'll affect mine as well. Like I want to have a fun day working just as much as you want to have a fun day with your wedding photographer. So my ideal client is a couple that, you know, love adventure and love to mix things up and don't want to stick to the rules of a wedding day. Like the wedding I had on the weekend, I ended up with a person dressed up as a dinosaur at the reception. So they're the couples that I want. I want these couples that have just got like the fun family, the fun friends. All they care about is having a fun day. So for me, I couldn't care less where you get married or what your wedding looks like. All I care about is you as a person and if we click or not.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is the wedding that you had on the weekend, instead of taking 6,000 photos, you actually took 7,000 because as soon as the dinosaur came out, party was on and it was snap, snap, snappity, snap, snap, get that dino in the camera.
Honestly, I didn't know about this dinosaur until like an hour before it happened. And so it was one of the maid of honours came up to me and she's like, look, I've got a surprise for the bride. I'm going to be dressing up as a dinosaur because she loves dinosaurs and I just need you to know because she's going to be very surprised. I literally like grabbed her arm. She would have been so scared. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. She's like, whoa, I was not expecting that reaction. Because in my mind, I'm just thinking, shit, yeah, like, you know, something different. I love something different. It's just like it completely took me by surprise. And it's just I'm always like looking for those elements of a wedding that are like the memorable moments because especially for me, I learn from every wedding. So every wedding I walk away from, I'm like, oh, that was a really good idea that they did that. Or I watched them do this that way. That didn't work so well. So I won't do that again. So like when I see all these things happen at a reception, like I may now at my next wedding go up to one of them and be like, hey, have you ever thought of dressing up as a T-Rex for your couple? It's just a thought.
Just a thought. Oh, I love that. It's so good.
What I love about that though is the couple through their friends, through their bridal parties, and it goes a long way to saying how well their bridal parties know the couple that they're standing up for. It's how well they know them as people, and they're injecting those little elements into making their day truly, truly special. And the fact that you're there to capture it as well, like, you know, their wedding album's going to pretty much just not be photos of the ceremony and the reception, but, you know, 100 odd photos of a dinosaur just popping up in the gallery.
Literally. But like that's the thing, and like as you said, it's just like that's what I love to capture. Like screw all the perfect bridal portrait shots of them looking posed and uncomfortable during a stunning sunset. I want the dinosaur. I want the T-Rex on the dance floor.
Okay, this isn't going in the recording, like, Nick, I cannot wait to do your intro, Taylah, and it's going to be the dinosaur-loving photographer.
Doesn't just capture brides and grooms, but also captures the occasional dinosaur that just...
I will change my bio. I will do it.
No, you have to.
I feel like some dinosaur emojis need to be used as well somewhere.
I'm here for it. It's my new like alter ego as a wedding photographer.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. So
that's going to call you Dorothy from now on.
I like that. I'll approve. I'll approve of that.
All right. Okay, so getting back on track here after talking about dinosaurs for a bit. Tell us about the specific services that you offer as a photographer, because there is more to being a photographer than just pointing and shooting and capturing images, despite what many people think. Just do you want us to give us a rundown of what you do and also where you're willing to go to geographically, I suppose, is the $1 million question.
Yeah, I love that $1 million question. I've got an answer for that too. So services wise, obviously you've got the standard packages that you offer your couple, and it's generally based on how long you're there for. Are you giving them prints? Are you giving them albums? That sort of thing. But it's actually interesting that you asked that, because it's been something that I've recently been reflecting on with my business, because I feel like that's one avenue that photographers can become very similar on. Like we can all offer the same thing, and then it's a little bit like, well, why would I pick you when you offer the same thing that every other photographer on the Gold Coast offers? So there was actually a workshop that I did recently, and she is a photographer over in the US. And I feel like US weddings are very different to Australia weddings. They're more like dramatized. There's a lot more that goes into US weddings. And for that reason, she sort of has stripped back like all of her packages to be like, these are just my packages for when I'm there. But then you've got all these options for add-ons, and 2 of them being to offer doing photos the day before the wedding and the day after. So I have now added this to my business because when I think about how I love to structure my wedding timeline, as I said before, like one of the main things is not stealing my couple away from all their guests during their wedding day. So now I can say to them, if you don't want to go away at all, if you want to not miss out on any part of your wedding, let's go do your portraits tomorrow. You've got X amount of time and there's no pulling you away from any form of party whatsoever. You can wear your dress again or you can wear something else and we can just take as long as you want and go do your portraits then. And then with the day before stuff, I am trying to niche myself into being a destination photographer. So for that reason, whether that's people coming up to the Gold Coast and they're all on holidays and they're away for a wedding, or that might be in another state, I want those weddings where everyone's on holiday for that wedding. So I feel like anyone that has those sort of weddings will have some sort of event the night before the wedding. So I wanted to have something to offer them to be like, well, let's capture that as well. So you've got the day before, then you've got the wedding, then you've got the day after portraits, whatever that looks like. And then you've got a whole story that you're delivering to your couple rather than just a day. And there's not all this pressure to get all these photos in one day. You've now got 3 days to work with. So that's only a very new thing for me and it's going to be very trial and error. But I love that now it's something that I can offer my couples because I feel like you're always, as a photographer or anyone in this business, you're looking for a point of difference. So I'm hoping that once I can get the content and push that out there, that will be my new point of difference.
Love that. That's
I love that
unique offering.
Yeah. And I think
It's
you're
so
right
good.
though, like so many, like I think back to some of the weddings that I've been to and I know one in particular it was a lot of my close friends and we all descended on Tenerife because that's where our friends were living at the time and because we were coming in from America, Australia, the UK, for us it was literally a 10-day holiday from the moment we stepped foot. And I think about the week leading into that particular event and our friends went to town. We had dinners, we obviously had the bucks and hens, we had the wedding, we had the night before, we had events at villas, we had the day after. And it was, you look back on those photos and the photos from the wedding are stunning, but it's more the images that we took at the beach club on the day after or at the bucks and hens. It's, they're the ones that obviously stick with us from that whole experience because it was a massive holiday for everybody at the end of the day with incidentally a wedding thrown in for good measure. So
Yeah, exactly right. And like you look back on holidays like that and like some of your favorite photos are actually from someone's iPhone. And it's not a matter of what the photo was taken on. It's the memories and it's the fact that you're in that more relaxed, candid environment where you're all just enjoying each other's company and you're having a drink and you're having a laugh. It's like, well, if I can offer my couple to be there for the 3 days or a whole week, if that's what they want, if they've got hens and bucks parties going on, like, wouldn't you rather meet that photographer on day one and they start capturing your whole week of events? Because by the time it gets to your wedding, you two are going to be so comfortable with each other that your wedding photos are just going to be effortless.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
all right. So back to the $1 million question then that I kind of put out there. Where would you go to for a wedding? Where's the furthest point you would go to?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't answer the $1 million question that I was so excited to answer.
The $1 million question.
I got myself so G'd up for that answer that I completely missed it. Okay, so.
Tell us, don't keep us in suspense, girl.
So obviously I predominantly service the Gold Coast area and that's anywhere from like Brisbane all the way down to Byron Bay. I'm happy to travel to here. But I offer interstate travel. So I've been, obviously being from Melbourne, I still travel back to Melbourne for weddings. I've been to Sydney for a wedding. It is my goal to get over to WA and South Australia for weddings. But going into 2024 and with destination wedding photographer being my big manifesting goal for my business, I'm going over to the US to start building my destination portfolio over there. So Texas predominantly, because I have Mel's dancing, because I have made like a beautiful friend here and she's from Texas and she will be going back there next year to see her family and everything. So I sort of saw that as an opportunity because I'll have someone to stay with and her cousin is a wedding planner. So it's sort of, it's about who you know, not what you know. So that hopefully will be where my destination wedding portfolio blossoms.
Well, tell our listeners exactly what dates you're going to be over there. So if someone is loving you right now and they might be getting married in Texas or know someone in Texas, tell us the dates.
Please be getting you married in Texas. And if you're not, change your location. So I'm going to Bali first. So I am actually getting into contact now with some vendors over in Bali. Just because with my friend travel-wise, she can't do long trips. So we thought, well, let's stop somewhere on the way. And I didn't want to just go for a holiday. I want to use that opportunity as well. So I will be in Bali towards the end of May. I think it's like the 27th of May. And just depending on what I pick up over there booking-wise, I will either be there for anywhere from like 2 weeks to a month. So with the goal to end up in Texas by the end of June. And I plan to stay there for at least 3 months. When I say plan to, I can't stay longer than that because I'm legally not allowed to. But when I should have said
visa rules.
I should have said majority, I will be there for 3 months maximum, basically. So that is the goal, and that's obviously all based on bookings. So we will see.
That's amazing. It's such an exciting thing that you have to look forward to. And anyone who is going to be over there that time next year, they have to get in contact with you because you are literally going to be the best thing on their wedding day, apart from obviously their partner. But you'll be the next best thing.
Yeah, I will.
Sorry, you go, Tanya. Nope. Okay.
All right.
So let's stop talking about all the serious stuff and stop butting in over each other because we're so good at that. Cut that out, Nick. Right. Let's end this chat with you with some fun questions. We've spoken about wedding photography. We've spoken about you and your business and how incredible you are. I want to know if you have any wedding day superstitions, like if there are things on wedding days that you have to do as part of your ritual. Like I want to know like the quirky side of things because I'm sure you have one. Knowing you, I am sure there is something that you do.
Okay. Well, there's obviously the normal superstitions. And when I say normal, if there's a photographer that doesn't stress about this, you've got problems. But the continuous checking of SD cards and batteries is a real ADD problem of mine. Like it's a problem. But I would rather that than not check and be driving to the wedding being like, have I got enough? Are my batteries charged? I know driving to that wedding that they're probably, you can't charge a battery any more than it's already charged, Taylah. It's been on charge for 24 hours. It's charged. So
I'm sure.
Yeah. How many batteries have you got? Like how many batteries do you take to a wedding? Like this is a question to ask.
Look, yeah, and this is probably why I have the issue of making sure it's charged because I don't do myself any favors with the fact that I've just got 2 batteries for each camera. So one will die. I've got a backup battery. Then I have to find somewhere at the venue to charge the other battery because I go through 4 batteries in a wedding day. So I'm adding work for myself by constantly having to get one charged. So that's a me problem. I'll put my hand up for that. But
finding the elusive PowerPoint, it's never easy, is it?
No. And when I do, the DJ's generally stolen it. So
damn those DJs.
The DJ, the MC, the whatever. Everything I need, they've taken it. But that's fine. We make it work. We just become best friends with them too.
There's a simple solution for this, Taylah. You need to
Yeah.
get 4 batteries.
Yeah. Yeah, she knows. I like to keep myself on my toes. So, aside.
Okay, now the other fun question that we have to ask everyone. All right. Final question that we always have to ask everyone on this podcast, because obviously, cut the cake. We're not talking about cake, but we're cake gals. We like some cake. So, Taylah, question 1. Are you a cake lover? If you are, what's your favourite flavour? And if you aren't, what is your substitute for cake as your go-to?
Okay. Look, I'm not a huge cake lover. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying no to a cake. It's just if there's a dessert table that has also got double choc fudge brownies on it, you best believe that's where you'll be finding me. So, in saying that, I will still dabble in a bit of cake here and there. And if it was my wedding day, this is not probably a wedding cake. I don't even think anyone would have had this at their wedding before, but I will be having a chocolate ripple cake at my wedding.
Oh,
that is a great choice.
Cream and cookies.
Very, very Australian.
Cream and cookies. You can't beat that.
I don't know anywhere else in the world that does the chocolate ripple cake.
No. The only person that I know how to make it is my mum. So, Mum, you're making my wedding cake. Thanks.
Oh.
Can I just say that's going to be a lot of That's going to be a lot of chocolate ripple biscuits and a lot of cream.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 ingredients that go into a chocolate
we're buying out Coles and Woolworths of cream and biscuits for my wedding.
Just get the mixers going. Just get the whipped cream going.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a whole operation, but it'll be so worth it.
Oh, I love that, though. I love it. Well, I think that's pretty much it. And I think we've kind of covered off all the main topics. Obviously, we've learned about dinosaurs and your love of dinosaurs at weddings. So hopefully we'll be seeing more of those turn up now, because why not? And then, yeah, super exciting stuff with the US, obviously, next year too. So we honestly, we wish you the safest of travels when you head off as well. And we obviously also can't wait to see what you do in the future, because we're very, very grateful that you've obviously come on and been our first guest as well. So obviously brand new podcast. So we're super excited and so glad that you've been able to share with us your entire journey.
Yeah, I love doing stuff like this. It's just any opportunity that I get to become friends, once again, best friends with people in this industry. It's why I do this job. I love my job so much because of the people that are in it. So thank you guys for having me and allowing me to be on this platform, to be able to share what it's like to work with me as a wedding photographer and what I'm like as a person and what my goals are and where I see myself, because let's be honest, I may have a couple listen to this and then end up booking me. So if anything, I should be thanking you guys. And I'll also apologize for my male sounding voice right now. I'm a bit nervous to listen back to this. To be honest, I don't even know if I will, because I'm going to give myself the biggest ick listening to how nasally I sound, and I'm very sorry. Guys, I don't sound like this in real life, okay? I'm not a man. She is a female, Taylah Jayne Weddings.
You'll probably get offended by this, but you sound exactly the same as you always sound.
Yep, I'm offended.
And there you go. You will also get honesty. If you book Taylah Jayne in, you will also get honesty.
Too much, probably too much, and I'm not even sorry about it.
Never too much. Never too much.
No, well, we will be sure to put all of your details and everything in our show notes as well, so that the couples who are listening can easily find you and get in contact.
Before we stop recording, Tanya, do you think we should do like a question to Taylah to ask like what her socials are and how people can find her and stuff? Okay.
Yep.
Ready, Taylah? Ready?
Yep.
Set. I'm going to ask questions. I don't talk till I finish.
Yeah, I was going to say, you ask the question.
I will. Okay. So for anyone who's listening to this and they want to get in contact with you, Taylah, where can they find you? What's your socials? What's your website? Give us all the deets, please.
Okay, so best place to find me, which is where I'm most active, would be my Instagram, which is Taylah Jayne Weddings. Now, of course, me being me, I love to be different. So, yes, Taylah and Jane are both spelt not the way you meant to spell it. So it's Taylah and Jayne Weddings. Website is Taylah Jayne Photography. So that's where you can find all my stuff to do with weddings, but then also all my lifestyle photography services as well. Other than that, I do have a TikTok account, but I'm not very consistent, so maybe don't go there. I'll probably I'll just give you a nick, I think.
I love it. Now, so good. Is there anything else you wanted us to ask you, Taylah, or anything you wanted to not redo or anything, but like anything you're like, shit, I don't want that to go on there?
No, because it is what it is. I am who I am. The only other thing I need people to know is that Mally Rain is my celebrity crush.
Oh my God, we didn't ask that question. We should ask that.
You forgot the most important question of all.
Well, I wasn't going to ask that, but it's funny.
It's a real thing. It's true love. It'll be you and me on that aisle, Dale, with the chocolate ripple cake. You watch.
Nom, 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 nom. I request
I'm just looking...
peppermint chocolate on top.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not a chocolate ripple cake unless there is a peppermint crisp. I'm sorry. No. Like
That's fair. But I'll only allow it on half because I prefer the other half to be flake.
Oh my God. Our Christmas tree is going to be half and half too, isn't it, Taylah?
Yes. It's all about compromise, honey.
No tinsel on my side.
I can't wait to see this.
Oh, funny.
Oh dear.
All right. Is there anything else we need to do, Tanya, for this while Taylor's here?
I think we're good, unless we want to do a separate intro for Taylah. But yeah.
Surely you can just use my dinosaur comment.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Yes. I'm totally going to write something up.
Yeah. We'll write something up and then record it again. We can jump on. Yeah. It's easy done.
Yeah, cool. So, well, thank you so much, Taylah.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure chatting to you.
Thanks for having me.
Don't worry about the nasally voice.
Oh.
I was going to say, don't worry about the voice because I'll tell Nick to work his magic. Nick will work his magic.
I was literally listening to myself talk and I was like, oh, you sound like the biggest bogan man.
You don't.
Can I say, though, what you think you sound like and then what you actually sound like? Two very different things.
Yeah.
I'm like,
look, Nick, if you can edit just some pretty like high-pitched voice onto my voice, that'd be great. Thanks, mate.
If you can take Blake Lively's voice and just replace that with mine, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Well, look, we were talking about AI before.
Yeah, no joke. I literally went into a clothes shop the other day and the girl stopped me and she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, this may be really weird, but I just had to tell you that you look like Blake Lively. I almost pashed her.
Take it.
I almost pashed her.
Like,
Biggest
violently
compliment
wounded.
ever.
Hell yes. Hell yes. When you take that, you just take it and go, yep, I'm done.
Every day of the week. Every day.
Any day of the week.
Love it. All right.
Crazy.
I don't want to waste any more of your time, Taylah. I know you're a busy gal. You got to go like soak up all that sun and get in the damn ocean. So.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm doing. I actually have to take my friends to the doctor, so I better go.
Oh, okay. No stress.
Fair enough.
We'll let you know when it's coming out as well.
Yes, please. And if you're gonna make like content from it and you want me to like share it on like my page, just send it to me or whatever.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good.
Perfection.
All right, and I'll chat to you soon, Tanya.
Yes. Yep. I will. Yeah. Talk to you later. Yeah. Happy days.
Bye, everyone.
Yay, fun. Love you
to see everyone.
both.